Welcome everyone to The Creative Real Estate Agent. I am your host, Anastasia Forrest, and this is the place to get inspiration on how to supercharge your real estate business by tapping into your creativity. Today, I've got an amazing guest, Meredith Masony. You may be familiar with her through her brand, That's Inappropriate. I had the pleasure of meeting Meredith recently through a chance encounter. It involved real estate. And aside from being completely awed by her star power, she has a huge following. I've been inspired by her determination and fearless devotion to her self-expression and her ability to build a business out of that. So Meredith, I know, has so much to bring to the discussion of creativity, being true to yourself, marketing, and yes, even real estate. We will get there as well. So without any further ado, welcome to the show, Meredith. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. We moved here, I think it's been 10 months now. And that was kind of shocking to realize it has been 10 months since we moved, because we really don't go out and we don't really see people. So it's been kind of interesting, but it was very nice meeting you, because it felt like, oh, there are nice people here. When the world opens up again, it will be so nice to explore this area and meet other nice people. So it was very nice meeting you. It felt like there are humans out there still.
Yeah, last time I checked, I'm completely human. And most of the time I'm nice. So I really wanted to start by talking about your origin story and how maybe you can actually say what you're doing right now. Like, how would you describe what you do for a living? Let's start there.
Well, this year kind of turned everything on its, what do they say, on its nose, on its head, on its ear, on its whatever. But I run several different businesses. I write books, which I've published two at this point. The first one was Scoop the Poop, which was my origin story. And the second one is called Ask Me What's for Dinner One More Time. I have a page on Facebook, which is my name, Meredith Masony, and that basically just chronicles my journey through motherhood, wifedom, life. And I make sketch comedy videos there. I have a podcast called Take It or Leave It, an advice-ish podcast for parents that I co-host with my very funny friend, Tiffany Jenkins, who also is an internet quote unquote personality, which I always laugh at when they say, oh, you're internet famous. And it's like, well, that's interesting. It's an interesting way to say it, but I have no inkling or want to be famous whatsoever, because that's not really what I do or what I want to do. What I want to do and what I strive to do each day is let moms, women, wives know that they're not alone, and that the journey is a marathon and not a sprint. And you're going to get really tuckered out if you try to do all the things. And then we have a merchandise store. I make t-shirts and merch, basically from just my sarcastic sayings and different things that I think are humorous, which I love, because one of my long-term goals is to have a t-shirt line in stores. A lot of people, they always ask me when I go on a live, they're like, what do you even do anyway? Do you have a job? Or I'll get people emailing me and they'll say, you know, you go on live on Facebook and you fold your laundry. Do you ever do anything? Do you have a job, or you just mooch off your husband? And it's like, well, it's kind of my job to fold laundry on the internet. I'm sorry that offends you.
Man.
I've basically made a job for myself by creating community and talking to women about the struggles that we have and the reality of what motherhood and being a wife is, and what living, I hate the word, but everybody uses it as a buzzword now, living authentically. Like, this is, whether you have a camera on me or not, this is who I am. So I work with brands and do sponsored campaigns and, a little bit of everything, basically, while raising 3 kids and trying to support my husband's goals and dreams as well, because those kind of went on a back burner while he helped focus on mine. And it's been, it's been 7 years since we started doing this, and it's kind of really neat that I got to create something that never existed before, and I get to do it every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. There's so much there. You and Tiffany are hilarious together, by the way.
Oh, thank you. She is very, very, very funny. And I think the reason that the podcast works as well as it does is because we're so different.
Mhm.
We're two completely different people, but at the end of any topic we discuss on the show or whatever it is in real life, like no matter what our opinions can be on the complete opposite side, but we've managed to be able to find ways to say, like, that's cool. Like, it's fine that you feel that way. I think that our world would be in a much better way if we could all go to the idea of, we can agree to disagree and have discussions and be kind to one another, because I don't want to live in a world where everybody thinks or feels the same way I do, because then you would lose all creativity and you would lose the ability to really be well-rounded, as so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree too. I mean, it is it's nice to be able to have an intelligent discussion, and not everything has to be a battle, and it doesn't have to be about getting the other person to think the way you think. It could just be a discussion.
Yeah,
And
that's just
sharing.
been lost recently, especially with this whole cancel culture idea of, like, I can make a statement about something and now we can just, like, put it into a void because we don't agree with it. And it's like, well, I don't know that I agree with that at all, because I think that opposing forces are supposed to exist to a certain extent, of course. Um, and I think it also depends on your temperament and your personality. And, like you seem to me to be like the never ending optimist. Like, you are just probably one of the most bright and cheery and optimistic people I've ever met. um
Wow.
and I'm definitely, like, I actually want to make a t-shirt that says the perpetual pessimist. And that's my, like, I'm very sarcastic, like my humor can be a little bit dark, like I definitely see a glass of wine, and if it's half full, I'm gonna tell you I need a full pour, like this is a half full glass of wine. But I think it's great. Like, I love optimists. Like, as a pessimist myself, like I think optimists are great.
Mhm.
Like,
Well,
why,
the problem with being an optimist on the outside is you repress it all, and I have like really terrible dreams. So I mean, at least yours is out there on the open.
yeah, I mean, I don't like to sugarcoat things. I believe that we've entered an age where everybody puts a filter on things. And when you do that and then you see it or engage in it or deal with it in real life, you have a bad taste in your mouth, because it's not what you were presented. And so one thing I always say, whether it's to a guest on the show, somebody that I'm working with on a video or a collaboration, or a brand, what you see is what you get. And that's it. If you want something else, then, or you want me to say something or do something else, then you'll need to find someone else. Because that's not what you're going to get from me. And
Yeah.
I believe wholeheartedly, no matter what business you are in, if you portray the exact product, the person, the brand of who you are, you will find success, because you will be able to be matched with the people who can see the value in that. And then you will be able to exponentially grow that value.
Yeah, no, there's definitely different voices in real estate. I think the old traditional conservative model is to be this polished, perfect, no hair out of place, never go in public unless you've got your makeup on, and just be this perfect kind of polished personality. But
Hmm.
these days there are a number of influencers in real estate suggesting that no, people want to see the real you. Like, get on Facebook Live and talk about what you're doing that day, or just kind of let people get to know you. And even when it's a little more crafted than that, say coming up with a YouTube channel that caters to maybe retirees or something, and you make it about golf or boating or something, even then, like, be yourself. The people that are drawn to you and vibe with you will come to you, and then otherwise, you weed the others out. Your audience is large. I think that's what's most it's a little, to me, it's overwhelming. I imagine being you and having all like 3,000 people watching me live on Facebook folding laundry, and it's like, whew, that's a lot of people. Did it come out pretty organically? You said you didn't really have any desire to be famous or have this many people, you know, following you, I guess, but did it come about organically, or did you have any idea when you started, talking about things that moms could relate to, that it would resonate with so many women?
I I started solely as a writer, like you had touched on before. And so this was just a blog and there was never a face, and it was actually anonymous because I was a teacher. And so I wasn't, based on my morality clause, allowed to say the things I was saying, and have my name attached to it. And it got to a point where I realized, if you don't put a face to this, the words are great, but the people that were reading it couldn't relate fully to it, because I think you need to know who it is that you're talking to. So for like the first 18 months, it was just anonymous. And then I realized, I was like, I think if I go on Facebook and if I start maybe making videos or find a way to connect with these people, that's going to maybe bring this up to the next level, and we can have real conversations about what it is to be a wife, what it is to be a mom, what it is to be the person that everybody expects everything from, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with pretty much zero breaks. And um, so I decided that I was going to, try my hand at stand-up comedy, because that was something that I always wanted to do. And my husband was not a fan of that. He did not like me doing stand-up gigs on Tuesday nights at 1 a.m. because that's how you do stand-up, especially when you're a nobody from nowhere. So I realized that I could basically sort of do my stand-up routine, so to speak, my story, because it's really storytelling. I wouldn't call myself a stand-up comic. I'm a storyteller. I said, if I go on Facebook and I am home and I can sit and have these conversations, same as I would at a stand-up club, I think I'll be able to talk with these people. And so I started doing some Facebook lives, and nobody was in there, right? Like, I was talking to myself and pretending there were people in there. I was like, oh, hey girl, how's it going? Nobody was in there, but nobody knows nobody's in the Facebook live. So you can lie and talk to people even though they're not there, because when somebody watches it on a playback, how would they know?
Good point.
So I always tell people, when they're starting Facebook Lives in the beginning, just talk to the camera as though you're a parrot in a cage talking to a mirror. And you can call, oh, Pamela, how's it going, girl? How are the kids? Just have a conversation. And eventually people started showing up, 5, 7, 12 people. But once I started making videos, and I had that first viral video back in 2016, all of a sudden people started flooding to the page, and it went from 3,000 Facebook followers to 60,000 in under a month.
Wow.
And then I was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I supposed to do with all these people that are here now? And so I was like, well, I guess I'll make more videos. I guess I'll go live. I guess I'll, and there wasn't a plan or a structure, which looking back at, was not a good business plan whatsoever, because I didn't know what I was doing. But I always tell people now when they ask, because people will email me and say, oh my gosh, how did you get started? And what did you do? And you had overnight success. And it's like, I didn't have overnight success. I had almost 2 years of just pouring my soul out with my words. And then when I figured out that I was missing puzzle pieces, then we started seeing some success. And then I had to learn at that point how to craft and turn that, because my husband and I, had to have this come to Jesus meeting where he's like, this is a hobby or a business, but this can't be a hobby and you spend all of your time on it and not bring on any income because you're neglecting your job and your family. And so we had to have that talk. And I talk about that in the book. I called it the 4th of July, the real fireworks on the 4th of July, because we had it out. Like it was like this breaking moment for me. And it was this breaking moment for him after the fact. And after we hashed through it, I realized, okay, I will commit that I'm going to attempt to turn this into a business. But it wasn't like I had a great plan in the beginning, because there wasn't a plan in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Interesting. Yeah. So much of what I think we do as humans is trial and error. I mean, I can certainly speak for myself. Trial and error is a common experience, but that's how you learn. And
yeah,
you get feedback from the external world. Obviously, you got feedback when you tried. You like, oh, I'm going to try this. I'm going to add in this.
well,
So
yeah, you know right away what people love or hate, because the one thing about the internet is they will tell you
yeah.
whether you want them to or not. So on that first video that went crazy viral, it was a Mother's Day video. We had 10 million views in a weekend,
Oh my gosh.
which was insanity, because
Yeah.
for my page size, which was nothing, for it to get that many views, it had been shared by so many thousands and thousands. Potentially, at the end of it, it was shared by hundreds of thousands of people.
Wow.
50% hated it, 50% loved it.
Oh wow.
So I was getting, oh my God, I finally feel seen as a human being. And then I was getting, I'm going to murder you.
Oh my God.
Like, not a joke. I was getting death threats about a video I made on the internet about Mother's Day. So that is, I think, what scares people about the internet.
Yeah.
But even though that exists, I still feel like the internet gives us the ability, social media gives us the ability to connect and unite with people who we would have never met before, and can really have a big impact in our lives.
Right. Yeah. A double-edged sword for sure.
Yeah.
There's the good and the bad, but maybe even dealing with the bad and dealing with the haters helps you grow, because you learn to be unaffected by it, or just learn to kind of maybe not totally unaffected, but I don't know.
You grow a thick
how do you deal
skin.
with it? Yeah.
You
I'm sure.
grow a thick skin, but it's not like it's not like, it doesn't affect you. You're a human being. And as much as I talk about being emotionally stunted, of course I have feelings, right? Like, they do exist down there somewhere. So it happens. And it's usually when people needle me about, or trash my kids or my spouse. It's almost like you can pretty much say anything about me, but when you bring the kids into it, or my husband, it's like, but that's that people do that, unfortunately. But when you look at it, the percent of people who send me wonderful emails or messages far outweighs those who are flooding my inbox with hate. So it really is, it's a small percent of people that like to muddy the water. And I think that's true in every industry. So it is what it is.
Yeah. I guess it goes back to what we were talking about at first, that, what do we call it? The polarity of the universe, I guess. It's like, there's always going to be two sides to something, it seems like. Well, I think there's so much I am interested in talking to you about, but I think something that would be really relevant to busy realtors, whether they're a man or a woman, but I mean, talking specifically about the mom role, because we are both moms. How is that? Well, there's a couple things here I wanted to tackle, but first of all, I know that as I continue building my business, I'm about 4 years in now to real estate. And, I'm starting to get to the point where, Sean used to be the main breadwinner, and I'm getting to the point where I'm about, matching him, or about to maybe surpass. So, and that fluctuates. Real estate is, so I guess making predictions isn't necessarily a good, or productive way to go. But in general, what I'm trying to get at is, how is that similar to your dynamic at all? Was it weird going from both being teachers and then now, you're maybe the primary, I don't know. Do you feel like you're a team, or does it feel weird?
So a couple years ago, I had a magazine do a online article about me, where they used my picture, and the title was "When Women Become the Breadwinners." And I didn't know that that was going to be the title, of course, at the time. They were just talking about how um, more women are starting to match a husband's salary or a spouse's salary, and then maybe potentially surpass it. My husband was an administrator for the last 5 years of when we were teaching together. So he did make more than me. He always made more than me, which I found odd because we were both starting teachers at the same time. So I never understood why his paycheck was more than mine. But that's a whole other podcast topic. But for the longest time, yes, he made more than me. When my business started taking off, and it got to the point where I couldn't handle things on my own, we basically sat together and made a 6-month plan. And he said, if we can save this much money so that we know we can pay our bills for X amount of time, I will take a leave of absence to help you get your business to where it needs to be, and then I will go back to work. And so when we hit that mark and he took his time off, we just sort of teamed up, and he did all of the back end stuff so that I could do all of the things that I needed to do, whether it was touring, writing, shooting video, working with brands. And he did all of the website building. He produces our podcast. He would stay home with the kids while I was out working with, I had never traveled really in my entire life. When this happened, I found myself in LA, Texas, San Diego, New York, Chicago. I was going everywhere. And right before the pandemic, I was traveling like 2 times a month. And so he was home doing those things while continuing to keep the business running, while I was out doing, the face of the business. So are we a team? Absolutely. I don't get to do my part if he doesn't do his part. I think most marriages are like that. A lot of times people want to put an emphasis on the money and, who's making more money or where is the money coming from. But the way I've looked at it was, just like our marriage, there are times where I have to give 75% because he can only give 25. There's never a time really in our marriage where we're each giving 50%. I don't think that exists. I also don't believe in balance. I think it's a 4-letter word. I think it's a curse word. Like, that work-life balance is BS. So I think you have to frame it in a matter that you're both of you are okay with. And for me, yes, when the paychecks come in, is it for the work that I do on camera or for the videos or whatever? Absolutely. But can I do that job without him? No. 50% of my jokes are about my husband. Let's be honest, right? Like, so you need to find, and we have been lucky enough. Do we fight every single day? Do we fight about work stuff every single day? Do we fight about our kids and how much sex we have or don't have every single day? Do we fight? We fight about all of the things every other married couple fight about, on top of the fact that we work in the same office. His desk is right there. So, but we also work really well together because we have 2 different types of personalities, and we think in different ways. So when I make a video and he turns to me and says, I absolutely hate that, it's terrible, I know it's going to do really well.
Oh my gosh.
So we just think differently. And, we've managed to come up with a system that works for us. And, now that we've been working so hard on this, I'm now letting him start his own little adventures and saying, hey, I'm here to support your adventures that you want to do, because I'm not going to lie, I've said it a million times, like, I want to be quote unquote retired in 10 years. I want to be able to pick up and go wherever my kids are. I don't know that will mean I will depart the internet, but I do know that it will mean that I want to be able to say, hey, my kids moved to Colorado. I want to go, and because in 10 years I could be a grandmother.
Wow.
Yeah. I can in 10 years, if my kid has a baby, and he could, because this month he's getting his learner's permit. Like, I am old enough that in 10 years I could have a grandkid. I want to be able to go and be a part of that life.
Right.
So I am working as hard as I can and squirreling away my money and doing the things that I need to do. We had never had a 401k. We had never had a retirement or a savings account, and now we get to have those things.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting. Fiscal responsibility is a very exciting. So
Yeah, we're actually in the same, I think we're going kind of through that same process as well. It's empowering to start to be able to look at the future and allocate resources and kind of like envision what you want your life to be.
yeah, but don't forget in the moment that, not to be the pessimist and the downer, that it
Mhm,
could end tomorrow.
mhm,
So do fun stuff and do things you want to do with the people that you love while you have the time. I always have to
yeah,
remind my husband, like,
yeah,
I told him, when everybody is vaccinated and we feel good, we're taking a big vacation, and we are going to celebrate 18 years of being married. Like, we're going to do that because we've put in a lot of work and a lot of, like, take vacations if you can, or find ways to do things that you love. Because I was blessed with thinking that tomorrow was not going to happen for me. So, and I know you are the same way. Like, when you are blessed to have the aha moment experience, and that is a blessing, it reshapes your perspective.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, amen to that. We were talking before we got on the Facebook Live about how Sean and I just joined a boat club. That's part of our. We were thinking, we're like, we work so hard. We focus so much on work. We gotta start having some fun too. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
I think it's great. I never poo-poo other people's fun. I mean, I might be a pessimist, but I'm not going to poo-poo your fun. Everybody should have fun.
Right.
Everybody should be able to find a way to have some sort of relaxation. I don't think that we're supposed to work as hard as we do to just curl up and get placed in a hole at some point when this is over. Like, we're supposed to experience and do things. And I think a lot of times you get trapped in that, um the hamster wheel, and it's just like, I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta go. And I think one thing that people are struggling with is this pandemic opened up their eyes to what slowing down looks like.
Uh-huh.
And now some people are really hesitant about going back to life as it was. I know some are racing back because they can't wait. But I mean, I think we learned a lot of lessons during this quarantine, of not having a practice for my kids every night, and not having weekends that were just full of birthday parties and sporting events and things, and me not traveling was crazy, going from traveling twice a month to being, I haven't been without my kids in over 365 days.
Wow.
There's
Yeah.
not been a
Yeah.
night that I wasn't attached to somebody. And like, I mean, they're
Mhm.
not like, when I say we didn't travel, we didn't go anywhere, we haven't been apart from each other, it's been a full year. And so I'm excited about getting back to some of the things. I'm not excited
Mm.
about having my kids in a bunch of sports again and being out every single night. I like sitting down at the table and eating dinner with them. That's privilege. That was a privilege from this pandemic that we got to do.
Mhm.
But I know lots of people are out on the internet trashing the others for their views on this. How could you say that? Like, you're so privileged to have gotten to do that. Because there were people during this pandemic that were essential workers that never got to see their family during this.
Mhm.
So
Right.
just when you say things like that, understand how privileged you are to have experienced it.
Mhm.
Because I wasn't essential in this pandemic. I was at home. I was not essential to anybody. So
Yeah.
I was at home, and I did get to sit and have dinner with my kids and watch TV while we ate together, because that's how we do our dinner time. We watch TV together and eat our meals. And I loved every minute of that.
Mhm. Well, there's always different ways we can respond to unexpected events, such as, life-threatening illnesses or uncontrollable worldwide pandemics.
Uh,
And yeah, I think tapping in to find that creative solution or something that makes you feel I don't know, that makes you, that feels right for you is
Mhm.
best. It's always better than complaining about it. That's for sure. Or, or just being stuck. I mean, you can complain about something, but to be stuck in it, I guess sometimes people get stuck in that.
Yeah, I think, I
So,
mean, I always laugh because it's like I get online and I'll complain or vent about my kids or family, and they're like, "You don't even like being a mom." And it's like, "So wait, let me just ask this question. If you went to work and your boss was a real jerk and you came home and you were like, "Oh my gosh, this is what he did today." I was like, "You're complaining about work and you like there's no problem with that. But I complain about my kids or my spouse or the thing that my child destroyed today or broke that was mine, wasn't even theirs, and I'm a terrible person who shouldn't be a mom." Okay, that makes total sense. People get rubbed
Mhm.
the worst way when a mom opens up and vents about actual real life stuff. You cannot love your children. You can love your children for every moment of the day, but you don't have to like them every moment of every day because they're kids and they break your stuff and they do stupid stuff. I mean, they're just like us. They're human beings, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
I don't know.
yeah. They are. They are imperfect, wonderful little creatures. Absolutely. No, yeah, I don't know why people feel the need to judge other people and also just be so vocal about it. I mean, I don't know. I don't really get that, but I understand what you're saying. Why? I mean, that anyway. Yeah. All kinds of people out there, all kinds, and probably it's projection. When people are judging another person, I think a lot of times they're not seeing something in themselves that they want to put onto the other person. And that could be positive or negative. Like you seeing me as like eternal optimist, you might actually see a part of yourself in me that maybe you're not acknowledging in yourself.
Yeah, because my pessimist self probably killed it. So, but no, but that's what I think. I think a lot of times people don't open themselves up to opportunities where they can either meet people or be friendly with people that are so different from them.
Hmm.
But you can make the best friendships that way, and you can find the most interesting people that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
I love my friends who are, like Tiffany is hilarious, but she has so much anxiety and she worries about everything. And I have to remind her over and over again, like, you're doing a really good job. Like, your kids are little right now, but you're really doing great, and she brings me, levity and comedic relief at times. And I have other friends who are, um, like I have a friend who's just this total hippie, just a hippie dippy, like everything about Mother Earth and crystals and all of the sage. And I think all of that is just ridiculous. For me, works for her. I don't want to buy a crystal, but I think it's great and it makes her so happy and she's so wonderful. And so I think open
Uh-huh.
yourself up to relationships and people that are different from you because you can learn so much from other people, And yeah, I think you find a little bit of yourself in others as well and you can learn things. And same as business, you
Hmm.
know, same thing in business. Like open yourself up to opportunities, because you never really know what might spark or work, and
Hmm.
there's a lot out there.
That ties right into the theme of the show, creative and real estate, being creative in
Yeah.
real estate. I know we're getting to the time that we should probably start wrapping it up, but let's bring it back a little bit to real estate. And I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about well, you said, I mean, your parents are realtors. I know
Yes.
that. And how long have they been in the business?
A long time. My dad used to build houses, and then when he stopped building houses, he got his broker's license, and so did my mom, and then they just started selling them. So
Hmm.
I mean, at least the last fi- probably since I got maybe 15 years, 17 years,
Hmm. Oh,
somewhere around
wow.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good
Enough,
one.
long
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. Long enough. So you grew up with around it through
Yeah,
that. Okay.
yeah.
Did you ever imagine yourself doing real estate? And if you did, or even if you didn't imagine it, but if you did go down the road and became a realtor, like what kinds of things would you be doing? I just wonder if you would, what you'd be doing with video, what you'd be doing with social media.
Well, from what I know about social media, because that's all I could speak to, I've never attempted to sell anybody a home, but I sell people lots of other things like
Mhm.
Preparation H cooling wipes for hemorrhoids, which you might think is a hard sell. It's not. Lots of people have hemorrhoids, but I sell things, right? Like it is part of what I do, just like you guys sell houses or properties. I do sell things that I love, but what I've found is that when you're passionate about the product, it's an easy sell because it's something you love. So if you are truly passionate about selling somebody a home, a place to live, a place to raise a family, or if you're really passionate about, you know, uh, strip malls or mini malls, I don't care, whatever it is that if you're really passionate about it, you can find a way to make it an easy sell. Like nobody wants a hard sell. I don't. I as a personally, I don't want somebody to try to hard sell me anything. If I'm entertaining the idea of purchasing something, I already have interest in buying it. Don't try to hard sell me something that I don't, especially if it's something I don't need or I'm telling you I don't want. If I were in real estate, I would be going live all the time. I would be live streaming house tours. I would be live streaming aspects of the house that I thought were really cool or aspects of the area that I thought were really neat. I would be talking about, especially if it's like in a neighborhood, like what great things they have for kids or potential buyers, amenity centers, all sorts of stuff. Like one of the selling points for this neighborhood that we moved into was they had an amenity center with a pool that had a snack bar. Sounds ridiculous. Sounds like something that somebody is not going to look for, a snack bar at a community pool. But when you have 3 kids and you know over the summers you want to be able to walk down the street to take your kids swimming and they have a snack bar, whoa. Like that was a big check in my pro column, right?
Mhm.
I would be doing I would be doing lives and really show the personality of the property, the personality that you have. I understand that a lot of people aren't comfortable on a Facebook live, but like I said earlier, the best advice I have for you is engage in that Facebook Live as though you're engaging with somebody over a cup of coffee. It's a conversation, it's a friendship. They want engagement. I never I never like Facebook Lives where somebody is talking at me and not with me. So don't talk at the people that are in the live, talk with them, have conversations. I stop throughout my live all the time and answer people's questions, comment on something. Today we talked about how my daughter broke my vacuum cleaner by sucking up guinea pig poop.
Oh my gosh.
So
Sorry to
we
hear
were
that.
in the live and people were asking me like, what kind of vacuum was it? Were you able to fix it? And I was like, oh, it was an old vacuum. It was 12 years old, but it was a Dyson. So it's got really good parts. So I'm trying to clean it out and I did get it to work again. But I'm talking with these are my friends.
Mhm.
These are my friends. I know a lot of these people by their first name. Being a realtor in a small, or I wouldn't call this a small town, but I'd say it's a small, because I came from a much smaller town. So I'd say this is a smaller town. Becoming friendly in the community and knowing people that are in this area and being able to have these conversations is so important to what people want, because people go on social media either to be voyeurs and only watch, which that's true, I think, of almost every place on the internet, or they're there to have community and conversation.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
I feel like if you build that, then you're going to have success down the road, because they're showing up to see, and really, why are they following a real estate agent if they're not somewhat interested in purchasing at some point property?
Right.
What, I mean,
Yeah.
unless you do magic too, I don't know. Like, I'm just saying, like, you're following that for a reason. People follow me for a very specific reason. 9 times out of 10, they don't know what's going to come out of my mouth, and they can relate to me, whether it's being a mom or a wife. That's why they follow me. They're not following me to buy a house. So
Mhm.
that's all I'm saying.
Mhm.
So if you can hone in on that, that's what I would do. If I was a real estate agent, I'd be doing the same thing I'm doing right now, and I'd be live all the time.
Yeah. No, that was That was awesome, Meredith. No, all that's really good, really useful and helpful to hear, because yeah, you're selling things too. Yeah, it's not a house, but the authenticity, not the hard sell, um, having a conversation instead of talking at someone, all that stuff is huge and 100% applicable. So
Yeah, and and I know some people don't realize that they're doing it, but don't talk at people when you're showing them property either. Like,
mm-hmm.
have the conversation and never, I hate when people would assume, or an agent would assume, that I don't know what they're talking about. Like, talk to me
Mm-hmm.
as though I'm an adult, because I am. And then if I have a question, I will ask you. Like when our AC broke and the guy came over yesterday and he's like, I need to see your fluctuator, what, and I was like, I don't know what you're asking me for. So use another term or tell me where it might be in my home, right? Like, I will let you know when I don't know when a fluctuator paddle thing is. And he's like, oh, it's in your attic. I'm like, I know where my attic is, right? But like, I don't know anything about an HVAC AC unit.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Like, I know nothing. So people will inform you. So don't, and real estate is one of those businesses where I think people can become intimidated
Mm-hmm.
and freak out and worry, because it's always a big purchase,
Right.
right? It's like a car or something. It's a massive purchase. So you have to take that into consideration as well with people, because it's a big deal when you give somebody, a lot a lot or all of your money for something. When you think about that, like,
Yeah,
it's a big deal.
it is. Yeah. Yep. And it's, as a real estate agent, definitely part of that role is to be a guide. And as a guide, um, just going in and just talking one way, talking and not being receptive and not being aware of where that person's at, and they're about to make this huge purchase. And it's, you got to be also very aware of where they're at and tune into them as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Hmm.
Well, this has been really, really wonderful. Thank you so much for spending all this time with me, Meredith.
Oh,
This
of
has
course.
been a lot of fun, and I'm sorry you're under the weather. I appreciate that you powered through it. I didn't realize you were still
No,
sick,
I
but
look, it's the pollen is trying to kill
yeah.
me. This place, these pine trees, they do not appreciate me. So I am
Hmm.
trying hard to acclimate to this area. That was probably the first thing I should have Googled when we were looking to buy over here, was how bad is the pollen count? It is the one thing I didn't check, because when you
Yeah.
think about moving, I didn't think about the fact that I was moving in the same state that I was going to have this much of a reaction,
Hmm.
right? Because
I didn't realize that either.
it didn't dawn on me, because I knew
Yeah.
how bad my allergies were on the West Coast. I had no idea how much worse they were going to get on the East. Like, the thought never crossed my mind.
I guess it depends on
And
what you're allergic to. You mentioned the trees that you're allergic to
right, well,
happen to be here.
yeah, I didn't, when I got tested the first time several years ago, we don't have as many pine trees and
Hmm.
cedar and oak and stuff. And so the one oak tree we had, we cut down. It was in
Hmm.
our yard, but because I was just, every
Yeah.
time it would flower or whatever, I would have an allergy attack. So anyway, not that anybody cares about this, but yes, there are lots of things you should look at before you move, and
That's
apparently the pollen count is one of them.
that's funny. I'm actually going to make a pros and cons video about moving to St. Augustine, and I am going to include allergies. If you've got, seasonal allergies, that could be a con. That's going to go on the con
Yeah.
column.
But you don't have a lot of places that you could move in the US that aren't affected by this. Like, I did
Right,
start looking
right.
into it, and like, you got to go to like Arizona.
Hmm.
It's a dry hot there.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know that I would want to live in Arizona.
Yeah.
But it is not, there aren't many bets. The whole East Coast apparently is just covered in this stuff right now. So I don't know.
Well, before we go, would you like to tell people where they can come check out your stuff? Is there one main hub that they can check out, or is there a certain like social media platform you'd want to send them to? Or
Well, you can find me pretty much same thing. My name, Meredith Masony, pretty much anywhere. So it's on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. I think that's inappropriate because that hasn't been changed over yet. But if you search my name, I'll pop up. And then I'm also, of course, we have the podcast, Take It or Leave It, podcast, takeitOrLeaveIt.com, and Instagram, pretty much anywhere where the moms are.
That's awesome. Yeah, guys, you got to check out her stuff. It's hilarious. I told Meredith it's a really good balance for me when I'm stressed out or I've had like a I'm just in a serious mode or something and just stress. Basically, the stress is taken over. I love watching one of her videos or reading some of her book because it cracks me up.
No, thank you. I do
Yeah.
believe that humor, I always say I'd rather laugh than cry. And I think motherhood, wifedom, and just being a woman in general at times can bring you to tears. So you do have to find some funny. And so I do try to do that. That is the goal anyway, is to create community and find the funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, great job. I love it.
Well,
It's
thank you
great.
very much.
All right. Well, thanks again, Meredith. I'm going to end the session here and I'll talk to you soon.
Well, thank you. You have a good rest of your weekend. And of course, if you need anything, you let me know.
Okay. Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend too.
Bye.
Bye.